This will be the final garlic video in dogs that you will ever need to watch. This debate is probably one of the most polarized topics in pet nutrition. On the one side, you have people saying garlic causes anemia, it's lethal to pets, any amount is dangerous. And then on the other side, you have it's natural and safe, it repels fleas, and it has major health benefits that are well documented. And here's the problem. Both sides are usually talking about different things, but using the same word, garlic. Different forms, different doses, different durations, different dogs. So let's slow this down and start with biology. How garlic affects dogs. Garlic belongs to the allium family alongside onions, leeks, and chives, and these plants contain what's called organosulfur compounds. In dogs, these compounds can cause what's called oxidative damage to red blood cells. And what does that mean? Well, it means that red blood cells get damaged. Their membranes start to weaken, and the hemoglobin, which is the red part of the cell, becomes unstable. Then you have abnormal cells that form, like Heinz bodies, and eventually you have hemolysis, which is the breakdown of these cells. And here's the thing, it's not an instant poisoning. This is a cumulative oxidative process, which means the body takes damage over time and repeated exposures, and even in small amounts. Which is why garlic toxicity often shows up days or even months and years after exposure, not immediately. Here's a critical talking point. Garlic is not a binary poison. It's not a touch it and your dog just instantly collapses. Your risks depend on dose, the form of the garlic, frequency of administration, dog-specific factors. And then risk factors include small dogs versus big dogs, repeated dosing over days and months, garlic powders versus concentrates, or things like raw versus cooked, multiple products containing garlic, like adding it to their food and in supplements, puppies versus seniors, and then other factors like are there any underlying or chronic issues. And again, delayed onset is common, which is why owners often miss the link. They might think that something else, may have made their dog sick. Let's make a few more distinctions. Garlic is not just one thing. You have the following. Raw garlic, which contains intact sulfur compounds, has variable potency, and is very hard to dose safely, consistently. Then we have cooked garlic, where we can assume that this does not reliably eliminate toxicity, like with a lot of other natural compounds, and it may still be able to cause damage. Then we have dried or powdered garlic, which is more concentrated, easier to overdose, and more common in herbal and holistic supplements. We have garlic oils, which are very concentrated and potency varies and commonly found in dog foods. And then the big one, the one that caused the actual controversy in this debate, aged garlic extract or AGEs. These are chemically different from raw garlic. It's processed to alter the sulfur compounds. It's been studied separately and a bit more extensively. And again, it is not interchangeable with kitchen or garden garlic. And this distinction matters enormously in this debate. Now, here's what the science and the studies say. This is the good data. Let's start with what people really hear. There are actually peer-reviewed studies in dogs using aged garlic extract, okay? And these studies showed that there's no real evidence of anemia or damage at certain doses. It didn't really cause any Heinz body formations. There was no hemolysis recorded. It actually activated antioxidant pathways in the body, and it actually improved gingival health in some of these dogs that had gingivitis. But remember, here's that important clarification. These studies used specific garlic extract at controlled doses for a defined duration under laboratory monitoring. This does not mean that garlic is safe in general. It means that the specific garlic derivatives may have specific limited applications. And it's important to point out that these advantages are not unique to garlic extract. It can be very easily replaced with other safer compounds. And then we also have the bad data. This is the other half. Multiple studies actually showed that garlic extracts causes oxidative red blood cell damage, and that those same identified sulfur compounds directly damage the red blood cells in canines. We have numerous case reports, meaning that these are cases reported by practicing veterinarians and specialists around the world that have documented real-world garlic toxicoses. We know that processed or cooked garlic can still cause harm. There's also no convincing in vivo evidence of any flea or worm control. By this I mean I have not found one single study ever proving that garlic has any sort of repellent effect on fleas or worms in dogs, anywhere. And this is where the entire anecdote collapses. There is no solid evidence that garlic repels fleas in dogs. There is no evidence that it has any preventative effect on parasites. It does not work as a dewormer, but there is evidence that it can cause harm to red blood cells. So what's the consensus? Well, the short answer is there isn't one. But here is the actual professional consensus that's completely stripped of the emotion. Garlic can cause harm in dogs at sufficient exposures. Benefits for typical home use is not proven. Specialized extracts may behave differently. Routine home supplementation is not recommended. The risk far outweighs the possible or potential benefits that most people think they want to use it for. And then it still raises this ultimate question of, then why do we even use garlic at all? Great question. Well, historically, garlic has a strong reputation in human medicine and has been used for decades for potential antimicrobial effects, for its antioxidant effect, and for its cardiovascular effects. And then these benefits were literally extrapolated directly to pets. Now we add marketing, natural, holistic, traditional. Can you start seeing how it gained popularity, I hope? And now the controversial part. Some people are quick to point out the following, but then there's presence of garlic in commercial dog foods in our big brands. And yes, some reputable brands actually include garlic derivatives, but here's what that actually means. They're usually trace amounts, nowhere even near what some pet health gurus or holistic vets are recommending. It's often in a garlic oil form, not in the raw garlic state, and is typically near the end of the ingredient lists. It's also formulated under controlled conditions, and they state that it is purely included for palatability and flavor, not for therapeutical benefit. And this is not the same as adding garlic to your pet's diet at home, supplementing it in daily, using powders or even cloves. Dose control matters, context matters. It's the dose that makes the poison, and continuous dosing falls under that same condition. But see, it doesn't answer the question of why do other companies then avoid it completely? Other brands, actually most other brands, avoid it completely because, well, there's no nutritional requirement for garlic. It has those many potential risks we listed. There's public concern, and ultimately there just purely is no clear benefit justification. This is what's called risk management, not contradiction. But then you see all the anecdotes of people on the opposite side, and this is where emotions peak. There are many people that claim the following: I've used it for years and I've never seen fleas on my dog. Since giving garlic, my dogs have had better immunities. My vet actually recommended giving garlic. None of my pets have ever gotten sick from garlic, and they get it every single day. But here's the professional reality. Anecdotes does not equal evidence. Most flea control failures and successes are seasonal. They overlap with other preventatives or other preventative steps. They coincide with environmental changes and areas that they live in. And then lastly, just luck, okay? The absence of harm does not equal safety. If you've never been in a car accident, does that mean that you can stop wearing a safety belt? So I think let's make this usable. If your dog food contains garlic, don't panic. Check the ingredient positioning on the label. It should kind of be closer to the end. And just understand that it's likely just trace inclusion. But I mean, if you're concerned, speak to your vet about it or try a different food. If you are considering adding garlic, please just don't do it for fleas or do it for worms or just do it because it's natural. The potential risks just outweigh the possible benefits. So the final conclusion, garlic in dogs is not black and white. It's form dependent, dose dependent, and context dependent. The truth is, garlic can harm dogs. Garlic has no proven home use benefits. Specialized extracts may be a different story, but more studies are needed. And again, garlic provides no benefit that you can get safely from other natural sources, but it does have potential dangers. Oh, and of course, please don't give garlic to cats. That will actually kill them. Do you want to see some actually studied and proven natural tick and flea repellents? If this video can get 100 likes, I'll make a whole video and guide about it. And if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this: garlic isn't evil, but it's not medicine either.